event. We are ready for the run.
We all ready?
Please begin.
Thank you, thank you. Well, before we get to the introductions, let's go ahead and get this party started for Illusion to Gaia. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, let me introduce. That's solarcell, our runner. He's best known for his shiny personality and his shiny forehead. He loves to play NES RPGs of all kinds. I'm Black Sliver. I have no idea why he asked me to co-commentate. I never run this game, but I've seen at least a couple of hours of resets in this screen. So we should be good for the first 3 minutes. You want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So I just wanted to get to this cave to make sure we're all good to go. So this is the story of Will, who went on an expedition to the Tower of Babel with his father. There was some kind of accident and his father disappeared. So a year later, we're here with Will and his friends. We've got Lance, Eric, and Seth. And in this cave, we're just kind of showing off Will's power. So he has telekinesis. We move that statue with his weapon, which is the flute. And now we're going to choose the ace out of these 4 cards. Of course, it doesn't matter which card you choose there. It'll always be the ace. And as it's nighttime now, we're just going to run up to our grandparents' house. But mysteriously, there's someone here that shouldn't be here.
The most important NPC.
The true hero. Hamlet. So this is Kara. She's a princess from the castle. She kind of ran away. We are just meeting her now. Here's our grandparents, Lola and Bill. And as we go downstairs, we're going to see that she's being whisked back to the castle from the guards. All right, so while more of the story gets going on, we've got other stuff to talk about, but how about we get some donations in while we can?
All right, we've got $2 from our very own scheduling mastermind, ESA. And the first one says, Stacy, please read my previous donation. And I must, of course, oblige. So the previous donation, both of which are $5, said, here, Wabba Dabba Ding Dong. So here you go, ESA. I hope you're pleased.
$232. Reset. We'll start over. Okay, so right now we're learning our very first song that we can play on our flute. All the songs that we have do have a purpose at some point in the story. This is Lola's melody. We're going to use this a few times, actually, throughout the entire run. Most of the other songs are just a one-time use.
It's not too bad of a time.
I guess not. So here's a map transition. We're going to see a bunch of map transitions as we go through the game. You're going to see me choosing a destination before it actually pops up on the screen. You have about a second to do that to save a little bit of time. You'll also notice that when we get to a location, the screen starts to fade out, but seems to stop prematurely. If I hold start, it skips that animation and saves you a little bit of time as well. So we're at the castle. We're about to go talk to Kara. And then we're going to have an audience with the king. The king is sent for us, and that's why we're here in the first place. This guy just throws us all the way out of there. All right, so basically right there, the king was asking us to hand over the crystal ring, which we don't have, or at least we don't think we have. And whatever answer you choose there, he calls you a liar, throws you into prison. Got a little bit of downtime right now if you want to have another donation read off.
Oh, yes. We have $50 from Boop saying, good luck with the round solar. Don't forget to plug the randomizer. Thank you very much for that donation.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, yeah. So we're just killing time right here. What you'll see a lot of runners do is they'll practice this guard dashing right here. It's a very technical movement. Swag. Well, when you don't have to do it, you call it swag. When you need to do it.
No, practicing is swag.
Ah, yeah. When you're practicing it, it's swag for sure. It's basically sprinting and guarding at the same time while continuing to sprint. You can draw objects to you, and you can also block projectiles that might damage you while you sprint.
Right, while we wait, one thing to notice is this is the US version of the game. It's easier and the text boxes are faster than the original Japanese version. And the PAL version is 20% slower, so... This is the only version that is run, basically.
Yes, for Europeans, this would be Illusion of Time, correct?
Yeah, right. They had to change the name for no reason at all.
So this is the first kind of mini dungeon of the game. We're going to be showing off the main basis of this game, which is sprinting and very good lines, and also showing off something there called a free dash. So I'll talk about free dashes in a second. A relatively new runner to the game, Mr. Freed. That's his Twitch handle. Highly recommend you follow him if you want to do that. He's very well known for introducing new strategies to the run. And one of those is the free dash, which isn't technically new, but previously thought to be a little too difficult to pull off in RTA to make it worth it. But after pushing us and making videos to show how it operates, it really is a big time save. And I'm glad I could show that to get through that skeleton without having to stop or take damage. Alright, first half the dungeon done.
Oh, death.
Oh, death. Better than you expected, right?
Yeah, way better. Have you seen your practice?
I know you have. Now, it'd be really embarrassing for me to hit this switch before the number 3 shows up, so let's hope we don't do that. Alright, no need to do a free dash there to get through an enemy. Right now we're gonna open up Wretched Bat. So we're going to a dark space right here. Dark spaces hold Gaia, who is kind of like the being that guides you as you go through this game. And aside from healing you, Gaia can rarely give you an item as well, but we're also transforming into our second character, Freedan. So Freedan has a few different abilities that Will doesn't have. He has a longer reach with his weapon, which is why we need to turn into him right here. It's also easier to what we call iframe dash or invincibility frame dash through enemies with him.
And he has hair.
And he has hair. Alright, a little slow on that skeleton kill, so I don't really think I'm going to make the early cycle. Nah, just missed it. He also does 1 extra hit point of damage on enemies compared to Will. But overall, compared to the 3 main characters that you can use in the run, generally the one you don't want to use the most, just because you lose a little bit of accessibility to more invincibility moves. So for Will, we have jump attacks. We get moves later in the game that allow us to jump through enemies or slide through enemies and do extra damage. So we'll try to be Will as much as possible, and then at the end of the game, when we turn into Shadow, we'll use him for his higher damage and his glitching ability.
You may have seen Solar open the menu at random times. That some enemies will despawn objects in game, and if you open the menu, you cancel the animation, so it instantly despawns or instantly opens.
Right. Will, please sprint. Alright, so we're rescuing Kara, we're going to run away, and we're going to pick up this little bit of food for the journey. and we'll be done with Edward's prison.
Do we have time for messages? Or do you want to say something?
Well, we're leaving the castle right now. We're going back to our grandparents' house, and we're going to find out that the house has been ransacked. And it's going to introduce a character that we're not going to see for much later into the run, the Jackal. Supposed to be some sort of bounty hunter that the king has hired to come after you.
Hamlet 2.0.
Hamlet 2.0. So we didn't really mention too much about Hamlet, that pig that was here. It's Kara's pet pig, and throughout some of the run, we're going to see Hamlet show up. The most beloved character. Okay, so that first dungeon was a little bit of a training dungeon. The enemies really don't do too much damage to you, but as you go through the story, before you get to a first major boss, you're going to be taking more and more damage. And then how the game upgrades you is you can either kill all enemies in a screen, and you'll get either a strength upgrade, HP upgrade, or a defense upgrade. Or if you kill the boss that 2 dungeons are tied to, you'll get all the upgrades you missed. And so that's going to help us kind of progress through the story without dying to a single hit when we get to the later game. But, so, you saw how easy we went through Edward's prison. And you're going to see that in the next dungeon, enemies are going to start to do a little more damage. Right now we're in Nitori village, which is Lily's home village, the blue-haired girl that we met briefly in the prison. And you can see your grandparents are okay over there, everybody's safe. Nobody was harmed when the Jackal ransacked the house. And we're actually going to pick up Will's very first move here, the Psycho Dash. It's a strong move, does a lot of damage, but it allows you to break open walls that might have secret passages in them. You can tell when a wall has a secret passage if the wind is blowing through Will's hair, or if you attack the wall, it'll make a different sound than anywhere else. So one movement mechanic you're going to see right here is I'm going to be rolling off a corner. You can roll off corners, most corners in this game, but you cannot roll off of NPCs. So you're going to see paths that try to avoid NPCs as much as possible. Especially stagnant NPCs. Any NPC that's not moving has a hard hitbox most of the time. I think I said that right. The stagnant ones have a hard hitbox. Alright, so we just picked up an Inca statue. We're going to need that as we move on towards the Inca ruins. So we need 2 to fight the final boss of the Inca ruins.
Good luck getting the second one.
Yeah. So this speedrun, it's highly focused on execution and skill, and there's a minimal amount of RNG, but enough to really mess with you when you get you start getting fast times in the speedrun. This is the first aspect of RNG, the Moon Tribe Challenge. You have 6 worms that you have to destroy in under 20 seconds. It'd be real embarrassing if I failed this right here. We're going to try to use a Psycho Dash to our best ability right here. And I will take the heck out of that for this run. Not too bad. If anybody has seen La Hulk, who has the world record for this run, he started a task, a more recent task for this run. It's really amazing to watch his task section of that fight right there. He leaves an insane amount of time on the clock. All right, so we have both Inca statues, and we're on our way to the Inca ruins. You're going to be seeing a lot more of, hopefully, high execution in my movement patterns. Okay, so the first room we're going to charge up a Psycho Dash. There's an enemy that we're going to kill for when we come back to here so we don't take damage from it. And then on this screen we're going to charge another Psycho Dash up so we can create a walkway for us when we leave this screen as a shortcut. Having a very bad habit of watching the clock for each of these little sections. Alright, so we just picked up the diamond block, which is going to fit into a slot on the floor underneath the enemy in this next room.
RNG, please.
RNG, please. So these bridges will fall down at different intervals, and it's always random. And it's being mean. Okay.
The worst possible.
First chance for a guard dash. Right there to block that spike. And we're going to show off another little aspect of the Psycho Dash. You can destroy these obstacles like that and block our path. Now this is the first little sequence break of the game. There's not too many of them, but you're usually supposed to have Freedan right here. But if you sprint and attack with Will, the end of his flute can actually hit that enemy. So we're skipping a good amount of the dungeon right there. We don't have to get Freedan and we don't have to pick up the wind melody for later in the dungeon. Alright, so I'm going to need some pretty good movement right here so that I don't get hit by these floating heads that are going to be flying around me. We're going to make our way past these stairs to pick up an herb for a little bit of a time save later in the run. Alright, we didn't get hit. That's great. A little bad RNG from that worm. That's no big deal. I'm very happy we're at full HP right now. This is the last little spot I can get hit, and hopefully I didn't just jinx it. Alright, we're good. I know what you were rooting for, Sliver. Sprint through here. And then in a vanilla playthrough of this game, you're expected to go pick up the wind melody, play it in this room, and it'll illuminate the tile that we're standing on right now, but this tile never changes, and it's already activated, even though you don't see it flashing. So we're just going to stand on here for 10 seconds, and then the door should open for us.
Shout out to the randomizer.
Definite shout out to the
randomizing
randomizer.
that.
We'll definitely talk about the randomizer as we go through this run. And all the wonderful, wonderful work that Don't Bagoo Me has put into it. Alright, so I'm going to equip the other Inca statue in this room because there's not a lot of code going on in that room, so coming in and out of the inventory is actually faster. And we're at our first boss, Cast Off. So it is possible to kill Cast Off within one cycle. Very difficult. I'm not expecting it to happen, but hopefully he only has about 1 or 2 hits left when we're done. And I'm at full HP, so I can take 1 hit without dying.
So no free strats.
No free strats there. Oh well. Pretty bad RNG right there. That diamond he shoots around. Alright, so there's Cast Off. The diamond he shoots around can have 1 of 3 patterns. It can either go vertically or side to side. And we got both side to sides. Kind of throwing me off for me not wanting to take any damage whatsoever there. But upon beating this boss, we're going to jump down here. Okay. Just looking at the time again. We're going to jump down here, get into the Incan gold ship, and pick up our first mystic statue. And I can talk about that after we get it. But in the meantime, do we have time for a donation?
Alrighty, we've got $40 from Skarsnik saying, Skarsnik here, good luck with the IOG run, Solar. I'm sad I missed your Secret of Evermore run. Did you bring your Barbie outfit?
We don't need to talk about that, Scars. Thank you for the donation to the cause. Wondering if that
Sadly,
was
he did not bring it.
Yeah, sadly I didn't, I guess. Imagine that.
Next time, maybe.
I didn't really think there was too much interest in me submitting that to ESA this year.
Could this be a donation incentive? Barbie outfit?
No. Please no. Okay, so there's something you can do called the crow's nest skip right there. It requires you to press B and then down immediately after that. I didn't press down in time right there, but I was on the correct pixel.
You could have just not mentioned it, and nobody would know.
Trying to be honest for the people here. It saves about 3.5 seconds if you get it, but it's also super embarrassing during the marathon if I don't get it and just fall down and have to climb the ladder all the way back up. So I'm okay with what happened. All right, so we're having a dream right now. That's your mother. Then all of a sudden, everybody that was on the gold ship is actually dead and not there. We're going to see as we go through this run. There's like a few dark themes in this game. I'll try to point them out as we go through. All right, so while the ship is shaking, trying to figure out what's going on, there's a giant fish called River Salmon attacking the ship. And sadly, this is where we're going to lose poor Seth. He's going to get swallowed up by this fish. So yeah, we grabbed the Mystic Statue. The purpose of this game is your father contacts you and tells you to come back to the Tower of Babel about a year later, and he wants you to collect all 6 Mystic Statues. So we have our first one. We've got 5 more to go. And now we're going to go through the most boring section of the run, which is definitely a great time for a donation if we have one.
Okay, we've got $5 from Bamboo Shadow saying, good luck, Solar. Hope you guys will make your way through the graveyard shift. Don't forget to sing that birthday song to the blue-haired girl. I'm glad to see some US folks making it to the European Speedrun events. Enjoy Sweden and greetings from Germany. Thank you very much for all your donations, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Bamboo. Much appreciated. I actually do not know the birthday song for Lily, but sorry.
Is it also a good time to talk about our charity?
It's a great time.
Nice. So this ESA, we are supporting Save the Children, which is an amazing organization that tackles a lot of very difficult and drastic problems throughout the world. So I've got some statistics for you. For example, in 2018, Save the Children directly reached over 40.8 million children in 118 countries around the world and responded to 113 humanitarian emergencies across 58 countries, and also contributed to 30 significant policy or legislation wins for children's rights, which is amazing, and we are so happy that we can help them make the world an even better and safer place. And you, dear viewers, can contribute to this amazing cause too by donating or subscribing or cheering.
Thank you for reading that off. So we had a little bit of bad RNG right there. Worst RNG, sure. Those fish, there's 3 sections with the fish, and you're really anticipating them to come much earlier than what they were doing for me, or at least in larger groups. But they were kind of spread out and few and far between, so in a normal speedrun, you'd be upset about that. You're losing a couple seconds off your PV, maybe. But not a big deal. They're all just time losses, nothing that's detrimental to the run. Something that probably doesn't save any time, but if you're able to get through these text boxes pretty quick, which I wasn't right there, you can skip that last fin up top. The cycle still complete, you just don't see the fin. A little bit of a bragging thing, which I have no right to brag about now.
All this way.
All this way. All right, so Finally out of the raft cutscene, Will collapses because he got scurvy. Rescued by this guy. Run through these text boxes as quick as we can. And we're off to Freesia. So we're officially on to the second continent of the game. Head to Freesia. Figure out what's really going on this continent. This is where we're introduced into the labor trading of the game, or the dark themes. I'm going to pick up a little extra HP, extra herb right there, bit of a safety strat. And we're heading back here into where they're performing the labor trading. We're going to talk to one of the laborers, Sam, who is telling us that he saw that Eric was captured by someone on the west side of town. So we're going to head over there, try to rescue him, try to do a little, what I call 0-point free dash. Looks pretty awesome when he does it. So when you're attacking an illusion of Gaia, if you attack and then push a directional in the same direction that you were facing, you'll do a jump attack. But you can actually attack and then quickly cancel that animation if you hold one of the other 3 directionals. And we're going to use that to try to do damage at a faster rate than just a normal full attack animation. And we'll be seeing that a little bit later into the run. So we're headed to the diamond mine right now. We're going to be showing off a little more movement patterns, high execution, and I hope we don't die along the way. So I'm going to start charging an attack right here so that I can take out an enemy in one hit halfway through this screen. The one thing that might turn off new runners to this game is the sprinting mechanic. So to sprint in Illusion of Gaia, you have to double tap a direction. Honestly, I could understand why that might be a turn off to some people, but you do get used to it. It is. Alright, but you do get used to it the longer you play the game. Knock that guy out of the way. That switch. After the 4th one, we can progress into the rest of the mine. We're going to be sprinting through here. We're going to be maybe doing some free dashes as we go. Didn't get hit by that guy. That's good. Hope RNG's on our side right here. Call that a mini free dash. Come on, Solar. All right, so what I'm doing right there, and I did that in the Inca ruins too, I just didn't have a chance to talk about it. Call it a ramp glitch. So when you run down ramps, you actually get the speed you need to propel yourself over obstacles just from the bottom tile of that ramp. So if you do a precise jump attack, you'll actually get stuck on there and still get your speed anyway. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of a safety here, kill this.
It looked like the stairs would have been faster.
You're probably right, Sliver. The stairs would have been faster in that situation. I hope you're enjoying yourself over there.
I am.
Alright, so we're getting Free Dance first move right here, the Dark Friar. The Dark Friar is a projectile attack, so we can throw that towards an enemy, not having to risk taking damage, or an enemy that's completely out of reach of us, which is the reason we're getting it in this dungeon. In the vanilla game, as you would play it, you would get upgrades to the Dark Friar, so you could actually detonate it yourself and have it explode into 4 attack projectiles upon impact. But for the speedrun, we're just going to have this base form. We'll keep it safe. I'll charge one right in this screen. So we can kill this and hopefully not take any damage. I am in a 2-hit death kind of zone right now, which is okay. There are sections in this run where you want to have low HP so you can have a quick death warp. But I really don't want to risk anything for the marathon if I can help it. Very slow run up right there. All right, we rescue this laborer. He's going to give us a key to the elevator so that we can progress to the bottom half, or I guess the upper half of the diamond mine. The bottom half. And then we're going to death warp to the beginning of the dungeon. Usually this lizard right here likes to troll, but we're going to attack, sprint through him while he has those invincibility frames flashing. This is where I really do want a lot of HP for the second half.
Well, it looks like you're going up.
It looks like we're going up, but mines usually don't continue up.
Yeah, I never realized that.
Also, no sub 30 elevator. Now I really do want to reset.
I'm sorry. Can't.
I wish I could, though. Alright, so this is a little bit of a pain in the butt to go through. A lot of chances for us to take damage. Not too bad. We're going to use the Psycho Dash to charge into that guy, break the chain, and talk to him so we don't have to go anywhere near this lizard. And he gives us one of 2 mine keys that we need to get to the final room where we can rescue Sam.
Spoilers.
Gotta talk about something. Alright, so I'm gonna take a couple hits here. And then book it out of here so I don't do anything stupid. So I'm again in a 2-hit death kind of window. Alright, we got around that guy okay. So we're not going to take damage when we sprint up past him. This is the second mine key that you're supposed to find in this room. So we're going to go back to the main room and then go to the final room of the diamond mine.
Is this a good time to give our viewers a little reminder?
Sure.
Nice. So we'd like to remind you that every tier 1 sub of ESA will get 300 warp coins to use during the 3 crowd control runs. And oh boy, we've got The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and GTA San Andreas on Thursday and Castlevania Symphony of the Night on Friday. These are going to be amazing runs and you can make them become train wrecks. I don't know. Consider subscribing. That will be great.
You gotta stop letting me look at the time.
How?
It's driving me nuts.
You may have noticed he death warped out of it, out of the dungeon. For some reason, the developers decided that you have to walk all the way back. You won't get teleported without dying.
Yeah, so you'll see us death warp as much as we can. Certain dungeons do have checkpoints in them, so if we go up to that point and then we go further in and death warp, we'll only end up back at the checkpoint and not the beginning of the dungeon. Let's see if I did this okay right here. Okay. So what I did right there, I just kind of started playing my second melody we got at the end of the diamond mine. I did that while I was sprinting, so it carried my sprint past that and I was able to get up to Eric. Very, very small time save, but slightly worth doing. So we got the memory melody from Sam in the diamond mine, and we're using that to bring Lance's memory back. We don't really, in a speedrun, get the gist of that until we finish up in Freesia right here. And then after this, we're going to decide to go ahead and head to Will's cousin's house, Neil, who will guide us to an area where we can get our second Mystic statue. But this would be a great time for a donation if we have one.
Oh yes, we do. We've got $20 from me, Speedy, saying, "Sup, Solar and Silver, Speedy here. Good luck on your run. Don't jump attack out of the snake minigame this time, please." Also, kudos to ESA and this nice marathon for a good cause. Thank you very, very much for your donation.
Thanks, Speedy.
Yeah, thanks, Speedy. Thanks for not forgetting that. I appreciate that. So Neil's cottage is pretty interesting. It's just this one screen, and it requires basically 5 story triggers. We're going to talk to his inventions, and then to him to just progress through the rest of this. And then we're, as quick as we got here, we're leaving. And we're going to head to the Nazca Plains. Now, one thing about this game that drew me to it when I was growing up was that a lot of the places in it represent real-life places. So you have the Inca ruins, and you have the Hanging Gardens, and where we're going to the Sky Garden coming up, the Great Pyramids, Tower of Babel. Pretty interesting. I don't know how many games really had that in it. All right, so a few more story triggers. We're going to talk to characters in specific orders. And then tucked away is this Moon Tribe member. I think that was it. So if you line up properly, you can sprint in between those characters, but it's frame perfect, and I think it was 1 pixel too far to the right, so I didn't want to chance it and just bop into the characters. All right, we're on our way to Sky Garden. Now, Sky Garden is kind of a 4-area dungeon with one main hub room. And in each end of an area, we're going to get a crystal ball. And after we have all 4 crystal balls, the bridge to the final boss will be completed. No sub 36 warp. Please reset this run. Don't you dare. All right, another good opportunity for a free dash coming up. I mean, he's probably saying you just missed a good opportunity, but... All right, got that. That was good. So if you fail a free dash, you usually just jump attack, which costs a little extra time. But canceling your attack animation with that... Get another little hit right here. All right, so we are good on the death warp HP. That guy almost sniped me, and I almost cried. Whew. All right, so here's our first crystal ball. I don't know if we really...
waiting on your tingle zones.
Yeah. I'm not freaking out yet. No high-pitched sounds yet. I don't know if I really...
We have time. We have time.
Oh, we got plenty of time. I don't know if I went into a lot of detail on free dashes. I did talk about doing attack canceling. The free dash does that, except you continue your sprint. And it's basically you double tap to sprint, and then you let go of your directional, you attack, and then quickly press a diagonal. And that should keep you sprinting in the same direction you were going without losing any time to having to start sprinting again. All right, so room 2, we need Freedan for. We need his Dark Friar to progress.
Those hair.
That beautiful, beautiful hair. All right, so out of all 4 rooms, this is the, I don't know, second scariest, I guess, just because of the end of it. So I ideally do not want to take any damage right now. But 1 hit's okay. So I jinxed it. Of course I jinxed it. So now I'm in 2-hit kill territory on this underside. But it looks like we're going to be... I'm not going to say it because I'll jinx it. Alright, so in the speedrun, you want to be careful while that barrier is being destroyed. If you grab the treasure chest while that explosion animation is going on, very good chance you'll soft lock. Take a little extra damage there, and then just 1-hit dive to that for a death warp. Alright, so coming up is another relatively small sequence break. In here. Don't forget that. So in this room, you're supposed to run all the way around, going top side, underside, lowering barriers like this one I'm running past right here, but you can actually jump over these ramps.
And you're done.
And you're done with the room.
I can remember when I played it casually. I hated it.
Yeah, when for the Illusion of Gaia randomizer, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and for the Apocalypse Gaia run coming after this, the once you get Psycho Slider, you can no longer jump attack like that unless you do a frame perfect trick. It's pretty difficult, and you lose time if you're not really in sync for it. So I had to relearn how to do this room, and it was a nightmare. All right, now Kralek, I think a lot of people might know Kralek, especially in the European community. He came up with a strat that actually turned into Freedan here instead of room 4, and it saves between 2 to 3 seconds. So we're going to take Freedan instead of Death Warping and go all the way to room 4. And I don't think I equipped the Crystal Ball. I didn't. Okay. Shout out to Mr. Freet and I guess we both forgot to do that.
Poor Freet.
Sloppy, sloppy. Oh no, no poor Freet. He deserves everything this run. Alright, so this is probably the scariest section of this dungeon. And that actually wasn't too bad. Pretty good RNG on the worms. Please stay away. Now, if I was going through a real run right now, I'm not too worried about my health. I would take a little extra damage there. But we do have enough health to do this trick right here. I'm going to let this sword knock me down to this edge. Otherwise, if I try to walk that myself, unless I was frame perfect, I would jump down and have to run all the way back around to get up to here. So you're supposed to destroy the sword on that statue and pull him out of the way. But you can actually use the that sword to knock you down and save a little bit of time. All right. Time for the Viper fight. What I've been dreading all night. Now, shout out to Mr. Freet. He actually introduced us to 2 new strategies for this boss. I'm going to be using the slower strat of those.
Made this boss fight a nightmare.
He did. Alright, bad RNG right there.
I got spliced.
Alright, so what I actually did was use both of his strats right there. So the one strat you can do is guide his crystal. So if you attack him right until his crystal shot fires completely and then move out of the way, he'll actually turn direction and then continue to attack. So we baited him to do that to extend the amount of hits we could get into him. And that worked great, but that wasn't going to give me the 2-cycle kill. I was a little short on damage. So the second cycle of that, I actually did the 7 attacks and then stopped. And if you do not attack him before his crystal shot is complete, he'll swoop down, and you're guaranteed to get him to land pretty low on the platform, so you can actually get more damage in and not have to worry about bad RNG. So we use that to finish him off. So just outside of 2 cycle, but a pretty good fight. I'd be happy with that in a run. So we got our second Mystic statue. We're falling from Sky Garden. Neil grabs us in his airplane. He's rescuing us, but we crash down into the sea. And you'll see here that the developers really didn't put too much effort in changing the sprites for the parachute. So apparently everybody can charge a Psycho Dash right here. So we're going to be going through the Seaside Palace right now. Not too interesting of a dungeon, so if we have time for a donation, that would be a great time.
All right. Before reading a donation that I've just got, I would like to thank our sponsor Twitch for providing this amazing opportunity to show and watch this wonderful run. You're doing really, really great, SolarCell. Thank you very much. And we've got $25 from Queen Anne Boleyn saying, please don't make bacon with Hamlet, from your best and only cheerleader. Thank you very much for that donation.
Thank you so much, Queen Anne.
We will make bacon.
Yeah, there's nothing that can stop. Sliver's been waiting all week for the bacon. All right, so we're going to use Lily's special power here, which you've seen a couple times in the run so far. She can transform into a dandelion. She's going to get into this coffin and pick up a purification stone, which we're going to use at the bottom of the Seaside Palace.
Why not at the coffin?
Yeah, shout out to some people who like to purify the coffin, but not in the any percent. He's a good lad.
Yeah, he is.
Alright, so when we use the purification stone right here, we're actually going to get rid of all the enemies in here. Everybody who was flickering is going to be okay. We missed most of them, actually. I don't know why I hit pause right there. And we're just going to run about halfway back up, pick up a key to progress through the end of this dungeon, and then, well, it's not even really a dungeon, and then get to everyone's nightmare. You. Oh, hello. It's pretty bad NPC placement right there.
Well, Mew isn't that bad.
It's pretty bad.
The boss.
No, all around Mew's pretty bad. We can talk about that when we get there.
Just doing it wrong.
I'm so glad you're here right now.
Yeah.
Hashtag Elvis. Here for Elvis would be proud of you right now.
Yeah. Sadly, he's...
Probably sleeping.
Yeah.
Alright, so there's the Mew Palace key. And we are just about done with this little section of the game. Alright, welcome to Mew. This holds the, in my opinion, worst boss of the game, the hardest boss, and a lot of heavy hitters.
Viper the worst boss? Wasn't Viper the worst boss?
No, I was just messing around all day today in practice. Was surprised by that action right there. Not the cleanest room one, but okay. So in this room, we get introduced to flashers, aka whiz robes, which are nightmares in this dungeon. They will teleport without care for what your HP total is at. They can teleport on you, around you. Their hitboxes are surprisingly large for their sprite. And a source of pain and suffering when you're really trying to not take damage as you go further into this dungeon. Get away. Oh, get away from me. So that was a really good example right there of rolling off corners. You can continue your momentum if you quickly kind of roll around a corner and then tap the same direction and keep sprinting.
Want to... Why did you get a statue there?
Good point, good point. So the basis of Mew is that there's these two statues which you just saw at the top of there, and wherever their gazes meet, there's usually a treasure. So our goal is to get the Statues of Hope, and using those we can change the water level in the dungeon, so it gives us more access later or further into the dungeon. So this is the first Statue of Hope we put in the Room of Hope. It's going to lower the water level by 1, and we're going to have a few extra areas we can go to. This is also the only place in the run right before the boss where I'm going to make a safety save just because it is a marathon. I'm not trying to lie about how difficult the vampires can be, especially if you start to panic and freak out. Alright, so we're going to backtrack a little bit. Alright, good. So that slime, I didn't waste any time killing that because that slime. Alright, good. No damage there. Please don't spawn on me. Okay, we're good. Oh, you gotta love flashers. Alright, so I'm gonna kill this slime coming up. This is a pretty hard trick. I think it's referred to as a... There we go. A little bit of a sequence break. You're supposed to find another dark space and turn into Freedan to destroy that golem. But you can jump attack through him if you wake him up. Got pretty lucky right there, got that to happen. And we didn't take any damage, so that's pretty awesome. We have enough HP to damage boost through this slime and make it before the spikes come up.
Can't you free dash?
You can free dash, but you have to be Mr. Freak to free dash that. No one else has that ability. Shoot.
Cutting it close there.
A little close. 6 HP should be okay though. If I had 5 or more, I would safety heal right here, but we should be okay. Alright, so this is Will's second movement, and I'm very, very sad to say, rip Freak Dash. We won't be doing any more Freak Dashes for the run. The Psycho Slider is a really strong attack. It does what it says it does. You slide into enemies or underneath certain tunnels, and we're going to be using this to get into other areas of the dungeon, and yeah, I don't think we needed the heal there. I think we're okay.
You sure?
Of course not. But if I'm at full health, I'm not going to be freaking out. Of course we want me to freak out.
Yeah, and you have to dive roll. So.
Yeah. Alright. Make sure I don't take any damage there. Good, he didn't spawn on me. So we're going to use guard dashing right here for a neat little trick.
It worked this time.
It did work that time. Alright, so we got a 50-50 shot. We're going right. Alright, paid off. Awesome. Alright, so we're good. So this is the second statue of Hope. The two statues that have their gazes meeting right here are pretty far away, so it's a little bit harder of a puzzle to figure out where you're supposed to have a B input. And we're going to death warp back to the beginning of the dungeon because that Room of Hope is at the beginning. Do we have any time for messages right now?
Oh yeah, I would like to talk for a bit while you concentrate on the run, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So we have an upcoming incentive on stream 2. It's a preview of the yet still unreleased chapter of Celeste. So Rabbit Dragon will show off a room out of that chapter if we get to $150 in donations. We are currently at $46, so please consider donating to meet that incentive. This is going to be really, really nice to see. And I would also like to talk about our charity, if you don't mind. So we are supporting Save the Children, and Save the Children works to combat and remedy child labor, slavery, forced and bonded work, child trafficking, and illicit activities. And you can help this amazing organization in their cause by donating or subscribing or cheering, because all our revenue of ESA Winter 2020 will go to Save the Children. So please consider donating, and thank you for all your help so far.
All right, thank you. So something I just did right there, which isn't really apparent because there's not really many enemies I can run through. You can actually gain invincibility for a single screen if you do an invincible move and open up a treasure chest at the same time. And we're going to do it again over here. So we did a jump attack, which we're invincible during. We grab the treasure chest, and that gives us invincibility. So you're going to see me run through an enemy or two as we make our way back and not have to worry about taking damage.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so we are going to safety heal and save right now. And fingers crossed, because this is going to be the hardest boss in the game. Also, fingers crossed I don't take any damage. That guy was coming for me.
I believe in you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Sliver.
So, second or third try.
Hopefully not. Hopefully first try. We have 2 herbs. I have no reservations against using both of them. We have to talk to these spirits and talk to Rama himself right there. He gives us a mystic statue, and you would hope we could just peace out of the dungeon and head on our way, but we do have to get past the vampires, so they're coming up. And I'm going to try to focus.
Nice.
Too bad so far. I'm going to go ahead and heal. Alright. Never freaking out at one moment. Oh my gosh, it's over. Okay. With that, we've rescued Eric. And we have our 3rd mystic statue already, so we're going to head on. And I can breathe for a second. Awesome. That would be a great time for any messages if we have them.
All right. So one of the other sponsors that we have is ViewSonic, and we are excited to have over 30 ViewSonic monitors to use for all our practice, technical and streaming needs here at ESA Winter 20, and one of them is being used right now for this run. So thank you very, very much, ViewSonic Elite, for your support.
So a familiar crashing is going on right now. It turns out we're afraid it's Riverson, but Seth is actually going to be talking to us via Morse code, and we're going to learn that his body has changed shape, and so that there's this comet that's approaching Earth, and the light of the comet is affecting evolution, and certain NPCs, characters, are going to have their shape being changed, like Seth. And this is actually a really good time in the story where you can see what is actually what's going on, because the text boxes are all programmed to go slowly here.
Most strange part of the story, though.
Pretty strange. You doing okay back there, little pig? You hanging out? All right. So he tells us we have to figure out the riddle of the comet and the ruins, and then we're back to very fast text boxes. Alright, so we are at Angel Village. This village does have another little minor dungeon in it. This is a moment when we're going to try to rescue Kara at the end of it. And we can talk about that when we get there. It's a very execution-heavy dungeon. I'm going to do my best to not take as much damage as I can, because I don't get a heal between now and the end of the Great Wall, unless I want to make a safety hill. So we'll hope that if we do get hit, we'll get an HP drop somewhere. And if it's a terrible amount of HP, there is a room where we can actually kill just two enemies and get a full HP restore. Good lineup for that dragon head. Line up for that one. And hopefully this one goes okay. Alright, good. Alright, so we didn't take any damage yet, so we're not going to kill both enemies in this room. Technically a little faster to slide here than jump attack through. And then this will be the last room with enemies before we get to the puzzle section. Okay, so an individual by the name of Ishtar is at the back of this dungeon. He's a painter who likes turning people or objects into paintings, and so he's actually turned Kara into a painting. We would see that if we were to duck into this room right here, but we're going to skip that, solve his puzzles, and then get the item we need to rescue Kara. So what you're supposed to do is memorize everything in that room, and then point out what the difference is in this room. Another little fun aspect of the randomizer is that all these puzzles are randomized as well, with even new additions. Alright, so this is going to be our final herb we get for the rest of the run. I will cherish it with my life. And then final puzzle right here. You can stare as much as you want, but the real difference is that the wind is blowing. So you just choose Will, because his hair is actually blowing in that section. So sadly, it seems that Ishtar has turned himself into a painting. I don't know if that's a dark theme or not, but we're going to take the magic dust and go rescue Kara. So not a very long dungeon, not too dangerous if you know where you're supposed to move. But we're going to head over to Watermia soon, and then after Watermia, we're going to the Great Wall, where we can get our 4th Mystic Statue, and come across the biggest source of RNG in this run. Troll Fanger. Sand Fanger, aka Sunfinger, aka Troll Fanger. But we'll talk about that when we get there.
I say 0x. I say 0x cycles.
0 egg cycles?
0 egg cycles.
Of course you say 0 egg cycles. We'll discuss those mechanics when we get that far. So Watermia is interesting because here we see Lance's father, who also went to the Tower of Babel with you and your father, but he's a little messed up from the events that happened there. But we need to go talk to him to progress the story, and then once we do that, we go celebrate Lily's birthday, and as was mentioned in the donation, there is a song that goes along with that, but I actually do not know that song. And I believe that's a Bowie song, Bowie the Hero song, so I wouldn't want to infringe on that anyway. So we're going to talk to Lance, his dad, Lance again, and then we can leave out of here. And then progress the story through this birthday party, and something that can be listed as nothing but heartbreak coming up after that. But while that's going on, I believe we have time for a donation.
Oh, yes, we do. We've got $5 from Fairmindly. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. And they ask, hey, Black Sliver, great shirt. Did you make it yourself or buy it somewhere? Also, greetings to the excellent ninja in Twitch chat.
I bought it. So thanks for the donation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, and keep them coming.
All right, so we're on our way to the Great Wall. It's a little bit different of a dungeon compared to the ones we've been in. It's more of a vertical scroller that just has horizontal sections that we're going to go through.
Makes complete sense.
Of course. The developers were trying to keep it interesting between all these dungeons. I will say, if you're a fan of soundtracks, Illusion of Gaia does have a really rockin' soundtrack. Now, without the free dash, we're forced to do things like that. To sprint through enemies while they have invincibility frames going on. Otherwise, we would just slide through them, push them back further, and still not be past them. And probably take some damage. So, we're hoping for good execution on these up attacks. And then the sprint through. That went pretty well. Alright, so that's basically the first room. You can tell how well you did based on how many spears you get past. So I was only slightly slow on that room. Now in the second room, we're going to bear witness to Will's incredible kneecaps that can withstand this falling height. And then slowly make our way up through back to the top of the room on the other side. And while we're doing that, do we have any time for messages?
Oh yes, I would like to talk about our community prizes for a bit. So we have two amazing paintings, and I'm going to read their description to make you a little bit more excited and intrigued. One is an Italian plumber sitting in a shoe during an autumn evening, and the second one is still life of mankind conquering the sky. But if you would like to see these paintings for yourself, you should go to prizes.esamarathon.com. The minimum donation for them is $35 each. They look really great, and you should check them out. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So we have a sequence break coming up right here. 1, 2, hold B for slider, and then you get into this section way earlier than you're supposed to.
I'm just sad the snake didn't troll you.
Yeah. You hate to do that. Alright, so I did a slider right there. I'm going to wait a second, then hit that switch again. Alright, so we're going here to get Freedan because to progress through the dungeon, we need his Dark Friar again.
For one enemy.
For one enemy. As I mentioned earlier on in the run, you tend to not use Freedan a whole lot if you can help it. But he does have usefulness with his Dark Friar. Okay. 2 more screens will destroy this one enemy, and then get Will's third and final move, the spin dash. So spin dash is going to be used for the larger ramps in this section that we can't jump over. And it does do a fair amount of damage and repeated damage when you're hovering over an enemy. Very useful. It's good for the invincibility. Overall, Will's strongest move.
It's good for going through a lot of enemies.
Yeah, for going quickly and for going through a lot of enemies. And we'll be using it a couple times, if I remember to use it, as we go through the rest of this run, in sections that don't require going over ramps or jumps. Okay, so coming up soon is Fanger, but I should talk about his mechanics a little bit. He has 3 different attack styles. He can go horizontally across the whole arena. He can go vertically up and down through the arena. Or he can just poke his head out, what we call an egg cycle, and you can get up to 8 hits on him when he's in that cycle. Otherwise, you can only get a max of 2. So what we hope for in the speedrunning community for Gaia is that we get a lot of egg cycles in this fight.
Not me.
Now, not Sliver, though. Sliver hopes for all kinds of death and destruction for me in in this run. So he's hoping for 0 egg cycles. Everyone in chat right now, go ahead and put your guesses in. How many do you think we're going to get? That guy was trying to snipe me. All right. Let's just see how this goes. Probably get one donation in real quick. If you wanted to.
All right, we've got $10 from Idero Boy 67 saying, "Get some solar cell, get some." Thank you very much for your donation.
I know who that is. Thank you, thank you. I will try to get some. And oh man, that was a bad spawn location. Okay, so
I lose.
you lose, yeah. So Twitch user by the name of RayCM, or in Discord we know him as Raven, found out recently that depending on where you stand in this arena, you can somewhat mess around with the probabilities of what Fanger does on each cycle. So by standing a little bit to the left of this grate, we can actually manipulate him to have a 50% chance to go horizontally. If we were off that section, we would just have a 50% chance for him to go vertically. That's 2 egg cycles. All right, so average for a run is typically 3 egg cycles, so we'll take that. Not too bad, but not a very fascinating time to have. And now, unfortunately, the egg cycles you can't manipulate. Regardless of where you're standing, they will always have a 25% chance of showing up. But given the option, you want to have the 50% chance on the horizontal section, as it's a faster section. Allows you to get hits in quicker before he starts the next cycle. So what happened in Watermia was that Lance was telling Lily his feelings for her. She freaked out, was really embarrassed, and then flew away. Now, he took it possibly as rejection, I don't know, but getting all the way to the end of the Great Wall, they talk about it again. Lovely story, yada, yada. Let's talk about something else while this is going on, because it's a very big time sink. So I'm going to try to start now and plugging the Illusion of Gaia randomizer. I don't know if anybody in here really knows about it in the chat for Twitch, or if you do, just don't know where the Discord is, but feel free to search that out. We would love you all to be part of the Illusion of Gaia Randomizer Discord. Don't Bagoo Me is the mastermind behind that. And working with Raven and Boop, who donated earlier, or Brian, they have worked tirelessly to get this into an amazing state where you have many, many different options. So you have the Golden Tiles randomized. All of Ishtar's puzzles are randomized. The Pyramid Hieroglyph order is randomized. You actually have all item locations in the game. Those items are randomized and swapped around in their spots. You have different logic combinations. You have Enemizer. You have different modes. So you can fight Gaia, or you can do a red jewel hunt. You have boss shuffle, and what's being worked on right now is an entrance rando. So there are a lot of options. It's a lot of fun. And following this run, I'll be showing off something that Raven found, buried and broken into pieces in the vanilla Illusion of Gaia game. So, I mean, I'll talk about that later, but it's pretty interesting that there was this secret boss that was never fully developed that Raven has pieced together to give us as an additional option to the Illusion of Gaia randomizer. But right now, we're just going to continue the dark themes of the game. We needed a way to get across the desert to the west to get into the city of Euro, and to do that, the only way is by riding a Crux. And Crux are, you can say, Illusion of Gaia's versions of camels, basically, but not really. But to get them, it requires us to beat this guy in Russian roulette. And I'm not going to say that something bad happens, but the game kind of infers it based off the screen kind of fading out here and you getting his Crux through his will.
Pretty dark.
Pretty dark. But there's not too much else going on in Watermia. We're just going to get to our friends again, leave the town, and then make our long trek over to Euro. So if we do have time for a donation right now if we have one.
Oh, great! We've got $10 from Captain Clucky saying, "Good evening from the United States. I'm glad to be able to spend my night watching such a charitable and relaxing event. Save the frames and save the children. Thank you very much for your donation. And I would like to remind you real quick that your donations stack up. So if you donate $10 now and 20 later, this will equal to $30 and you will be eligible for our prizes. So consider that also."
This is an auto text kind of section, so if you need to stand up and stretch, you have about 40 seconds to do that before you have to get back into the game. I'm hooked up with a bunch of wires right now, so I really can't do that, but I'd advise if you've been sitting for a while watching the marathon, maybe stand up, take a few minutes to kind of stretch, get a drink of water, make sure you're hydrated. Now, the benefit of this text is it's also slow, so you can get an idea of the story at this point. This is Neil's parents' house. We're going to be making our way to Mount Crest. Now, if you're speedrunning this is where the map locations get a little sketchy. This entire time when we've been traveling from destination to destination, we've been pressing down on the D-pad and then our input button to go to that destination. Starting with Mount Crest, this is where we start hitting right on the D-pad. And if you're not paying attention, you could screw that up. Happens to the best of us, though. All right, so while we're on our way to Mount Crest, if we have time for another donation, we can have one.
Oh yes, we do, and I'm probably sorry in advance for my accent attempt, because we've got $33 from Dusler and the boys saying, "I wish the community could open their eyes and see this is a great game. Killing it, Solar Cell. Hello from the 15th floor. G Primo approves." Thank you very much, Dusler and the boys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those guys had amazing commentary this entire week. Now, Mount Crest is interesting. We did just go through the Great Wall, so we have all the upgrades so far throughout the entire game because we killed Fanger. Not a lot in here does too much damage, but we are going to try to get hit a few times because we want a fast death warp when we get to the end of the dungeon. You're better than that, Solar. Come on. Who psycho slides there? Alright, we're going to slide here to open up this shortcut for the way back, and we're going to show off the invincibility glitch again right here. Unless I forget to do it. Oh, please go. So you can do it with a jump attack, you can do it with a psycho slider. You just need to be holding up on the treasure chest while you're in the middle of that move. You can see that nothing's doing damage to me. But now that we've changed screens, we're vulnerable again. Or if you try to charge up something like the Psycho Dash, you'll lose that invincibility. We'll use the spin dash there for a little bit of a speed boost. And we're just going to keep sprinting through these vines. Now, on this next screen, you do get a little bit of lag depending on enemy placement. It's usually just 4 of the fairies that cause lag here.
A little bit of lag.
A little bit of lag. But if you're really, really skilled, you might end up with 5. But we'll see what happens as we run back. And while we're running back, we do have time for another donation if you'd like to read one.
Awesome. We've got $5, and it's Queen Anne Boleyn again saying, adding $5 more so you don't cook Hamlet. Please don't.
I'm sorry, Queen Anne. Thank you for the donation. I don't know what you want us to do.
Turn off the SNES, maybe?
Is it worth it, though?
No.
Okay, so basically this dungeon, you're going to find mushroom drops so you can progress further and further on. It grows the vine so you can go to the next area. A little bit of lag right there, nothing to worry about. Take some damage, not worry about that either. This will be the last little bit of mushroom drops we're getting. Take a hit here just so I can Get a little bit lower HP. Oh, please sprint. This will be our final mushroom drop. Okay, we're going to use the spin dash again for a little bit of a speed boost. And then something that I at least used to do was kill as many of these spiders as possible. But if you leave a lot, you might be able to see something despawn, but we only had lag there, nothing that really despawned just because there were too many sprites on the screen. Worry about that damage. Alright, so we're in 2-hit kill territory again, which is great. I don't really expect to get hit by an enemy on this screen twice. Knock on wood. Okay, we are in the clear. We're gonna pick up the teapot here, that's why we came to Mount Crest. Talk about what its function is when we get back to Euro. And there we go. Alright, so we're gonna use the teapot on Neil's parents when we get back, and it's going to reveal that they're actually Moon Tribe members and that his parents died many years ago. Ooh, not paying attention when I'm going. Shame on me.
Happens to the best. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to blame the randomizer for that.
Sure.
I would have went back to Euro if this was a randomizer for that. That's definitely a Bagu moment if I've ever seen one.
Bagu!
Bagu! Okay, so while we're doing all that I just described, we do have time for another donation.
Alrighty, we've got $5 from Boop saying, "Fry that piggy." Thank you very much, Boop.
Thank you, Brian. So obviously this really depresses Neil to find out that his parents aren't actually alive. But on a happier note, after this cutscene, the true hero of the story appears again.
Oh, look who's here.
It's Hamlet. Here to solve all our problems. This pig has been through it all. Followed us all the way from South Cape.
Yeah.
Nothing can go wrong now.
Your time is good though.
Think so?
I've seen worse.
I guess I've been worse before. Alright, so we're at the natives village. I just kind of camp out for the night here. Have little story triggers, talk to Kara, run back in. And while we're resting, we're going to find out that there are actually inhabitants here who are starving, and we're going to get tied up. PSA, you might want to grab some tissues right now if you're affected by animals that go through hard times. Look away, little pig, look away. Poor Hamlet.
Shout out to Bowie Rip.
Yeah, shout out to the Bowie Rip emote. Oh, hi, Mom. So it turns out this whole time your mom was possessing the pig.
Because why not?
Why not? She's just giving you more encouragement here. She's rescuing you from being tied up. Telling you to keep on your adventure and go to the Tower of Babel.
Get some bacon.
Get some bacon, maybe. So we talked to that child right there. He shows us how to get to Angkor Wat, and that'll be the next dungeon we go to. But while we do that, we do have time for another donation.
Yes, please. We've got $5 from Queen Anne Boleyn again. Last attempt to bribe you so you don't cook Hamlet. Unfortunately, it's too late, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm sorry, Queen Anne, but thank you for your donation. Alright, so right about now, the damage is going to start catching up to us. I'll try not to take too many hits while we go through this dungeon. Interesting section coming up right here with this wall enemy. I'm going to try to do it in one cycle. Alright, good. Oh, he's still alive. Thought he was dead. You enjoy that?
I am.
Alright, so that shouldn't be too bad. Go blindly through this room a little bit, charge up a spin dash. Have another easier wall enemy to go through. Focus, focus. Now, Angkor Wat is one of those dungeons where I mentioned there's multiple checkpoints as you progress through the dungeon. So we're coming up on the next section that has a checkpoint. So even if I die on the next screen, it's not too much of a loss because I'm just going to warp to the beginning of that screen and not to the beginning of the dungeon. Now this right here is the infamous garden, which everybody despises because of these awful, awful flies like that. Alright, so HP is okay. I'm not going to worry too much about doing a safety heal. Coming up on an interesting little sequence break called Earthquaker Skip. Usually in this dungeon you get Earthquaker, which is Friedan's final move. We skipped the just despicable aura barrier move in Mount Crest. There was no need for it.
And we don't need Earthquaker.
And we don't need Earthquaker. So Earthquaker is supposed to stun this invincible enemy, but if you use Dark Friar properly right here, you hit him 3 times. Ooh. That rock got me right there. So we're going to have to go back through the garden. That's unfortunate. Really wasn't expecting that rock to hit me there. Not too much of a time loss. We'll lose about 1.5 minutes to that.
Maybe you should have done the safety heal?
Possibly. But nothing to really worry about. I think the bigger worry would have been to fail Earthquake or skip and step on the triggers that would have caused us to leave the room and come back in, giving us a little more opportunity to mess something up. But now we have a little more HP, should be okay. You do want to be careful not to run into these golem enemies. They'll do 12 damage to us, which is 6 full orbs in our HP bar. Alright, so let's try this again. Did some damage there, we killed that. So one more hit from that golem would have killed me, but I did take a hit from him. Another hit there. We're going to death warp soon, so I want to be a little low on HP. So, in going into this screen, we set the last checkpoint for the dungeon. We're going to run back and death warp. To turn back into will, because we need will for the remainder of this dungeon. Now, if you remember this from your childhood, you remember getting the black glasses and having to go through a room without them. that was completely blinding with white light. But for the speed run, we memorized the pattern to get through that room, and it's not too big a deal. We don't actually need the black glasses. And there we go through that. We're going to go through the rest of this dungeon. There's not too much else to talk about, but we do have time for a donation because of that.
Nice. We have $10 from Turd Ferguson 45 saying, "Beat illusion of Gaia. You will try." Thank you very much for your donation.
You will try. A very good friend back in the States. So we're just going to run through these enemies. We are down to 1 HP, but that's planned.
Perfect management.
Perfect management for a death warp. Okay, so this screen right here might look a little zoomed in, and this is an effect of the map transitions. From when I hold start to cancel the animation of zooming in or zooming out and then zooming back in, this zoom in right here happens because of that. Normally you wouldn't see that in a normal playthrough, a casual playthrough, I should say. Now the whole reason for us coming here is to get the Gorgon flower, which we're going to use to unpetrify 3 natives in the other hut that we didn't go into in Natives Village. Now, unfortunately, we can death warp here, but we still have that final checkpoint in the dungeon, so it's only going to save us that little bit of time to get to that checkpoint. Then we have to run all the way back through the dungeon. So while I'm doing that, this would be a great time for a donation reading.
Great. We've got another $5 from Queen Anne Boleyn saying, $5 so I can save the children since I couldn't save Hamlet. Thank you so much for this run, Solar. Thank you very, very much for your donations, Queen Anne Boleyn.
Yes, thank you very much, Queen Anne. Very generous. Take a little damage there. Get through these bushes. Some people might have trouble getting out of the garden backwards sometimes. Not too difficult, though. I'm not naming any names or anything.
You're not?
As I about almost die right there. We use that inventory time to equip the Gorgon flower, save a few frames. We're going to hopefully get some good RNG. No, bad RNG. So we'll just spin dash from up there to be at Angkor Wat. Still want to reset the console. So yeah, that's basically the second to last major dungeon we have to go through before the Tower of Babel. All that's left is the pyramid, which I would say is...
Hamlet is already gone.
Yeah, Hamlet's already gone. Not much else left for us. So we're going to make our way to Dal. This is the third and final time when we go to the pyramid that we're going to hit right on the D-pad. At this point in the run, you're probably pretty tired. You might forget that, and then if you do and you hit down, it costs a lot of time going all the way back to Natives Village, and then back to Dal, and then to the pyramid. So we hope we don't do that. No specific reason.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, no specific reason I'm bringing that up or anything. Okay, and we're on our way to the pyramid. So, another great shout out to Mr. Freet. Not because of going to the pyramid here, but because of his little bit of a strat we have coming in room 4 of the pyramid to kind of align a bunch of orbs. But a bigger shout out to Don't Bagoo Me, who actually found a whole new strat for the pyramid. I believe he was looking at maps from Gaia the creator, and he noticed something interesting about one of the rooms. And that interesting little thing is going to lead to us completely changing how we go through the pyramid. So typically, the speedruns would have using Shadow for 3 rooms and Will for 3 rooms. No love for Freedan.
For freedom.
For Freedan. We're actually not going to see Freedan anymore for the rest of the run. But now, because of this finding, we're going to use Shadow to do 2 rooms, and then Will to do the final 4. Now, while I'm using Shadow here, this is Shadow. We're introducing you to Shadow. He gets the aura, and it allows you to sink through floors, especially when you see these bricks. That tells you you can actually go down a level using the aura. You can also do something called the Atlas glitch. Atlas glitch, oh my gosh, I'm playing Evermore again. Aura glitch. And that allows us to attack enemies multiple times in our invincibility form. And good RNG there. Now, we start with room 3 because room 3 houses the Killer 6. And the Killer 6 are the absolute boss. The final boss of the game, basically. They're the worst absolute section. And if something goes wrong, we want to be sure that we can get through. Already taking some damage. Bad RNG right there. Let's hope this goes well. I'm actually low enough to where I'm not going to try to just sprint in guns a-blazing. We'll do it the safe strat. Alright, so we're going to be careful with this next section. It has 4 enemies that it's kind of hard to get through. Alright, so we do have time for a quick donation.
Oh, a quick one. Okay, we've got $22 from Moses saying, here's something to read. Enjoying the run. Thanks for the night shift. Thank you very much, too.
Yes, thank you, thank you. This next section, we just have 1 enemy, and depending on if he's charging up a laser shot or not, we'll just high frame dash through him. No, okay. So we can hit that switch and get in and out without taking damage right there if you do an iframe dash. And then after this next staircase, we're going to have the Killer 6. And I don't have my herb anymore, so we're going to see how this goes. I think I can take 2 hits before I die. These laser orbs are going to be diagonally dispersed, and I'm going to try to get in between them and hit all the ones that could be doing damage to me at the same time. Alright, so here we go. Alright, that's awesome. That's nice. Pretty scary to get through, so I'm really glad we hit that. And we have a lot of HP for room 5. Couldn't ask for a better attempt through that. Although I'm sure I know what you wanted to happen. Alright, so...
I'm not a monster. Maybe I am.
No, of course not. Okay, so the pyramid, the basis is you're getting 6 hieroglyphs, and you need these hieroglyphs to get access to the Mummy Queen. Shadow, please.
Sure, it's Shadow's fault.
Yeah, of course it's Shadow's fault. If it's not Shadow's fault, it's the controller's fault. So we're going to sink back down. We're going to go to room 5, and this will be the last room that we use Shadow for. So if you haven't seen the new pyramid strat, sit tight. We're going to be going through this. Hopefully I don't screw it up. But while we go through room 5, we do have time for a donation.
Amazing! We've got $50 from Clicks saying, towards the upcoming GTA run goal, any leftover towards next milestone, please. More games. Oh, we've got you covered. We have several more days of awesome games. And I've just noticed that we're only $49 away from hitting 22K. Can we make it happen during this run? Huh?
I believe you all can. There's a lot left in this marathon to donate towards. A lot of incentives, a lot of great prizes. Alright, so we're going to hope we don't get hit twice before we get the next hieroglyph. Really cutting it down to the wire. Oh, don't panic. I mean, this is a perfect death warp situation.
If it happens.
Making sure I'm actually sprinting there. Wouldn't want to end it right there. Okay, so this is where the new strategies really get interesting. I think we would do room 3, then room 2, then room 5. Yes. You know what? It's been so long now, I don't forget what the old strategy was. But we're actually going to death warp right here to turn back the wheel to go back to this room and start doing all the rest of the wheel rooms. So room 6 and 4 are normal wheel rooms. There's nothing different about these. We're just going to be spin dashing through the end, taking a little bit of damage as we go. And then I'm going to show something interesting about the mummies here. They actually don't have a hitbox when they're emerging from their spots in the wall. So I can just run right through this and not take damage.
You almost jinxed it though.
At full health. I can jinx a few things right now. Alright, so we're going to death warp, and then we're going to go to room 4. Show off a little bit of a freak strat coming up. Too much HP. Now room 4 is broken into 2 sections. We have a normal section we're going to run through, and then a section with a few rooms of these spikes coming down from the floor. So here's a freak strat. Hopefully did it right. Okay, so you can get them to line up completely. The old strat was to slide tackle through them. Cause a lot of lag, but you don't get as much lag if you line them all up that way. And it's movement based to do that. Alright, so I'm going to go through the rest of this room, but we do have time for a donation while I do that.
Alright, we've got $20 from Mitch the Mailman saying, "Congrats, big brother Ding Dong, the big screen. Hope this helps the cause. Love ya." Kim says hi. And we've got $10 from Syrian saying, "Loving this IOG run. Thank you very much for your donations. We are super close to 22K. Let's do it."
Yes, thank you very much, baby brother. Love you too.
Mitch is the best.
Mitch is a good lad.
He's allowed to say ding dong.
He is, yes. Alright, so that's room 4. So upcoming is room 2 with the new strats. Let's see if any of the casual players have used this strat before to get through this room, or if they had always used Shadow. And hopefully I don't jinx it and die halfway through. Do a little spin dash right here, get up on this ledge. If you jump off that spot 2 times, it actually makes this corridor for you to jump down. And I'm going to be a little safe here and do a spin dash. It's a little slower to do a spin dash here, but I don't want anything awful to happen in the second half of the room. We're going to psycho slider there for safety. Jump there. This other corridor, and then that's the end of room 4. Much quicker. And we don't have to use Shadow for this. So we have access to Will's invincibility moves, which is great. And the final room we're going to go through is room 1, but while I go to that point, after this death warp, we do have time for another donation.
Nice. We've got $50 from Anonymous without a comment. And with this donation, we have hit 22K. Woo! Thank you very much, everyone. Your donations are very much appreciated. Every dollar counts. It's for the children.
Great job, everybody. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $50 donation.
Who is this Anonymous?
I think they've donated a few times during the marathon. Alright, so this room is basically just using Will's spin dash as a vulnerability. We're going to run a little bit here so it doesn't run out right when I'm on a laser orb. And one final spin dash to victory. Now that we have all 6 of these hieroglyphs, we're going to go back to the upper level of the pyramid, and we're going to meet somebody who we've talked about but haven't seen yet.
Hamlet 2.0.
Hamlet 2.0. This is the Jackal. The Jackal's been tracking us as we've been going through the story. And he's kind of got the basis. He knows about how we're descendants of an ancient biological weapon. That's why we have the abilities that we do. That's why we can access certain areas that others can't. So he's holding Kara hostage and he's threatening us, but just like at the beginning of the game, we're going to use Lola's melody to get us out of this situation. And my hands get a rest while we go through this auto text. So we had a Hamlet burning, poor pig, but let's step it up a notch. That's why we call it Hamlet 2.0. Another little bit of a dark theme right here. But while this is going on, we do have time for another donation.
Nice. We've got $20 from Anonymous without a comment. Thank you very much for your donation. And I would like to say once again to everyone watching that your donations go towards Save the Children. Everything counts. Thank you very much for your help. You help children get a new start in their life. And Save the Children gives children the opportunity to learn and protects them from harm. So thank you very much for your help.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Trying to focus on the hieroglyph order here. I was playing randomizer before I was playing this. Missed an input there. There we go. Mr.
First
Freet.
try.
Yeah, first try. Mr. Freet would be ashamed of my menuing right there. A lot of runners are gonna be aggravated by this blue orb that I'm gonna have to iframe dash through. A lot of the time he can get you when you're just about to fight the Mummy Queen. Take a little bit of extra damage and really put you in a tight spot. So make sure I have the aura equipped, and we're gonna fight the Mummy Queen, aka the Mommy Queen, as some people like to call her.
Oh, mommy.
Mommy Queen. Alright, here we go. So this fight is extended. We can only do one hit of damage at a time for her first half of her fight. Ah, she's gonna be bad RNG. Call these stones down. So we're gonna hit her and then move from side to side through the arena. These hitbox. Now, it's been a while since we've killed a boss, so we're actually pretty squishy at this point. 2 hits from her would kill us outright. And I no longer have the herb that we were saving. So I need to be a little bit careful here. But as long as we use aura and don't get too cocky with our movement, we should be okay. Now, after a couple more hits, she's going to start her next cycle, and she can do one of 2 things. She can either stay in place and then do what she's doing right now, which is a slower cycle, or she can create a ring of spirits, which is faster, but a little more dangerous to handle if you're trying to kill her quickly. So let's see how many good cycles, that fast cycle, we get right here.
Do you agree with that?
I disagree. So there's a bad cycle, but that's okay. I'm gonna be a little careful here. One more hit and I'm dead. It's a big time loss to die on the Mummy Queen, especially this far into the fight. Alright. So that's great. That was a good fight to get out of.
Good RNG.
Good RNG? Yeah, we only had one bad cycle. I'd have been happy with that in a normal run. So this is our father once again talking to us through the flute. We only have 5 mystic statues, but he's calling us to the Tower of Babel right now, so that's where we're gonna head.
Sorry.
The story makes complete sense. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. The flute is talking to you.
Of course. Everybody has telekinetic and mind powers in this game. Alright, so we're going to the final area of the game. This is where we're going to go fight Dark Gaia after we go through the Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel is your typical boss rush in a lot of RPGs. We're going to fight all the bosses that we fought through the game so far. A little upgraded, but we did just kill the Mummy Queen, so we have all the stats in the game we can basically get, except for, I think, one we could pick up in Euro. One or two.
Yeah, and you fight the shadow.
Yeah, and we'll be fighting a
it's
shadow
super
for
easy.
everything. It is super easy for most of these fights. But I don't have an herb anymore, so I'm going to try to reserve as much HP as I can. Another interesting parachute scene here, where the developers are using the same sprite for multiple characters. So the idea here is that Will is parachuting down right now, but Kara had to follow, so she jumped off too, but both those parachutes are flashing, so they're just using the same sprite right there. Alright, here we are with the Tower of Babel. So first up is going to be Cast Off 2.0. The only difference really is that he's going to fire 2 diamond attacks out, and the RNG is less in our favor. We're pretty much guaranteed to get hit unless the diamond attacks line up with each other. But we'll see what happens. Best case scenario, we don't get hit, but I'm perfectly fine only getting hit once here. If I get hit twice, then Sliver, you can make fun of me for the rest of the run.
But the run is almost over.
Exactly. So, in bouncing into that barrier on the previous floor, we actually did have the crystal ring. It was
All the time.
all the time. It was wedged into our flute, so I guess we did lie to the king way back then, but we didn't know. And in the Inca gold ship, way back towards the beginning of the game, Kara actually took a different shade blue crystal ring off of the deceased queen. And it kind of lends itself to let you know that there's the Dark Knight and the Light Knight in Kara and Will. Alright, so here's Cast Off 2.0. His hands are much weaker now because we're Shadow. Let's see what the diamond attacks do. Alright, so we're going to get hit once here. It's perfectly fine. Go through a little bit of a lag fest, and then that's Cast Off 2.0. There's a lot going on in this background and the attacks and everything. There's no wonder there's some lag. Alright, upcoming is Viper 2.0. Nothing really different at all about this fight, but because we do so much damage with Shadow, we're actually going to be able to kill Viper pretty quickly. I'm going to hope I don't take damage here. Not completely out of the ordinary to take a hit. But as long as you keep Shadow attacking, shouldn't take damage. He says and then takes damage. One day I'll learn to stop talking.
Maybe that's for the other Viper fight as revenge.
Possibly, yeah. I got too lucky on the original Viper fight. The game's fighting back finally. So we're going to warp up to the next floor, and then we're going to have the Vampire 2.0 fight, which is actually a lot scarier than you would think. The original fight, the vampires don't have hitboxes that you can walk into that would damage you, but this fight they do. So I can't just walk up to a section and start jump attacking, A, because I'm not Will, but B, because they will damage you as soon as I touch them. So I have to be a little careful, and I'm going to be doing the aura glitch, which again, I mentioned, but I didn't really talk about how to do that. If you attack and hit Y to use aura before your attack animation is finalized, you'll actually be doing that continuous damage while you go through the aura animation. Oh gosh. Alright, not a great fight, Still doing a little bit okay on HP. Sandfanger 2.0 shouldn't be too bad. Sandfanger 2.0 is another source of time loss. We can have up to 1.5 cycles. I mean, if we get a second egg cycle, that would be great before he dies. But he could troll us, and we only have vertical cycles. So let's hope for eggs. Hope for a quick kill.
Oh.
No? I know you were hoping for 0.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're getting a vertical one. That's a shame. Got the 3 attack there. That's great. Get punished with another vertical. Show me those egg cycles. Alright. So that's Sandfanger 2.0. Not the best, but we did get 1 egg cycle at least. And last but not least is Mummy Queen 2.0, which is actually a little easier than the original one because the bottom floor is a little more open than it was in the pyramid. You'll notice that the enemies that we originally defeated are actually going to help us get to the top of the tower now. That makes sense. Alright, so let's see what Mummy Queen 2.0 gives us. Let's start off with some good RNG. Come on. Yeah, that's right. Alright, 3 more hits, she'll be into her next cycle. That's nasty. Alright, here we go. Let's see what happens.
That's RNG.
You had to say something.
And I checked it.
Alright, swag kill with the aura glitch. So, this amount of HP is great. I'm happy with that to take that to Dark Gaia. I'm not going to have to do a safety heal. Or if I had a really small amount of HP, it's actually faster to die on the Comet fight than it is to go into the dark space and heal. The vampire is actually taking us to the top of the tower now. We're going to reunite with Kara. And finally, after almost 2 hours, we're going to reunite with our father, Omen.
So dark.
So dark. So his body's also been affected by the light of the comet, and this is where we ask him, why have we not changed? And he explains that to us. He calls us evolved humans. So it's going to be our job to take care of this comet that's approaching Earth, and ultimately Dark Gaia. But before that, before we go fight Dark Gaia and really get to the crux of the game with awesome music, it's important for us to learn about camels right here, because we have time for that apparently. But right before we do this fight, this will probably be the last time for any messages we would have.
Okay, while we're learning about camels, I would like to educate the chat about Save the Children. So if you donate $5, Save the Children will be able to provide education supplies for one child, giving them the tools they need to continue their education, which means that with very little money we can do a big change, and you should consider donating because it's for a very good cause. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone. So we came to Tower Bay with only 5 statues. Omen actually had the final 6 statues, so we have everything we need to fight Dark Gaia. Right after we talk to these spirits of people, or animals that we've seen throughout the game. So there was Seth. There's even Hamlet right here.
We're friends.
Alright, so all those spirits are lending me their power, and then Will and Kara join to form the ultimate power, the Firebird for Shadow. Which is also an option in the randomizer, to have something you can unlock early to just wreak havoc upon enemies with the Firebird outside of the Dark Gaia fight. Gotta plug that when I can. Okay, so we are on our way to Dark Gaia, looking at the time. Be close, but we might have a chance for a sub 203. If we get a 3-cycle Dark Gaia fight. Which obviously we're not going to, because that's all I got in practice before the run.
At least the Comet is happy. Because why shouldn't they have a face?
Of course. I mean, this makes sense, based on the combat. So, if I was just kind of derping around during this run normally, I'd be dodging all these acid rains coming down from the sky, but I do want to be safe for a marathon, so usually after the 7th sound, I'll use aura to protect myself. Really not too much can go wrong in this fight. Alright, one last hit on the Comet. A little early there, hope we don't get hit again. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna aura glitch to do the final bit of damage. Are we facing up? Okay, we're facing up, that's good. So the only way to beat this final form of Dark Gaia is to damage her when her mouth is open. We're gonna hope for fast cycles where she does this laser attack. Alright, we got 5 there. 2 5 hits and a 4-hit guarantee of 3 cycle. So there's a little bit of RNG right now for how many times she shoots those yellow orbs at us. Alright, 4, so it's going to be close. Last one's going to have to be 5.
Face.
Killing me, Dark Gaia, come on. Alright, so we're going to be doing a 4 cycle here. I'm so glad you didn't hit
1
that early.
HP.
Yeah, one last hit. So we did 5 damage, or 5 hits, 4 hits, 4 hits. And there really is, it's kind of hard to make you get a 3 cycle. A little bit RNG related, depending on when those Firebirds hit her. Time. And that's Illusion of Gaia. Woo.
Sub?
Sub 203, cool. Now, that might seem okay for a final boss fight. I mean, I got hit once, it wasn't too difficult, but if you're really interested to see what the developers originally planned, stay tuned because coming up we do have Apocalypse Gaia, and I'm really excited to show that to you. But thank you to everyone who donated during this run and who's been donating through this entire marathon. It's very much appreciated, it's for a great cause. And just thank you again for allowing both of us the chance to be here to show off this run, this amazing speed run. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Or do you want to watch the...
No, we can definitely watch this before we get switched over. Go ahead with it? All right, we'll go ahead with Apocalypse Gaia then.